Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another Inside Lowell podcast. I am your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the WellPoint Studios here in downtown Lowell. Unicare is now WellPoint. New name, same commitment to Massachusetts. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. And we want to thank our friends at WellPoint for helping to make this podcast and all of our podcasts possible. I want to thank all of our Inside Lowell podcast sponsors as well, our friends at the Washington Savings Bank. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, the newest member of the Inside Lowell family, from affordable to luxurious apartments for all. Boston North Company, business solutions for restaurant and retail. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and security to Greater Lowell since 1925. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for more than 4 decades. And last but certainly not least, our friends at the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing you all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football right here in downtown Lowell. And speaking of our friends with the Pirates, we're pleased to be joined for this Inside the Pirates podcast by their associate head coach, who doubles as a specialty defensive coach and triples as the assistant director of football operations. Coach Mark Stoute is joining us here on the Zoom line. How are you, Coach? Good to have you here.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate your patience. We had some technical difficulties firing this up, but our audience didn't see any of that, so they're just going to hear all the wisdom that you've been able to accumulate in, a 25-year career of coaching in arena football?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I got started in 1995. Was my first year, so I'm almost pushing close to 30 now. 30 years of it.
And how did you end up gravitating towards the indoor version of the sport? I assume you kind of started off playing or coaching outdoors, right? The football were
no outdoor. Well, 1 year coaching kickers outdoors at Southern Connecticut State University as a volunteer coach, and then I kind of like that, and then I started in indoor football, and that's all I've ever been in. I coach high school football too as well back home, so I coach at my local high school when I'm home. I've been doing that for 20-something odd years too.
And how is coaching the game different than playing it? You know, in talking to some of your players over these last couple of months, they always talk about the speed of the game. Everything happens so much more quickly, and you have to be able to react appropriately. How about coaching it?
Same thing. It's not as poignant for us as it is for the players, because they're actually on the field executing in the moment. You know, we're kind of seeing it and then reacting to what we're seeing. So we're still kind of quick, but we do have a little bit of a delay before as to what we see and then what we correct or what we change as far as what we have them doing. So there's a little bit of a not quite as fast as it is for the players, because they're experiencing it in real time.
Gotcha. And I noticed that some of the coaches, and I'm guessing it's the offensive and defensive coordinators, actually are on the field at certain times. You're allowed on the field, which puts you in a vulnerable position.
We have an on-the-field coach, one for offense and one for defense, and then special teams. I can go up from time to time if I wanted to. The special teams is usually only one play and done, so I kind of stay away from the field for the most part. But yeah, we have an offensive coordinator out there who runs the offense and signals the plays. And we have the same thing with a defensive coordinator that runs the defense and then signals the defensive plays in during the game.
Yeah. So your journey that led you to the Pirates and eventually here to their new home in Lowell, kind of an interesting one. It started at a period that should have been arguably one of the worst periods of your coaching career. You were the head coach of a team in 2021 that folded mid-season, right after 5 games. You come to the Pirates and you end up winning a championship in your first year with the Pirates. Talk to us a little bit about that kind of roller coaster of a season for you.
Yeah, we were 5 games in. I was with the Louisville team at the time. And he just played against Massachusetts. We played them at home. We played them once up here. And then when we went back home after the game up here, our team, the league, basically shut down our team. There was some infighting amongst the ownership group. They couldn't get themselves sorted out to which group was going to take charge of the team. So it was shut down. And then I got a call from Jawad. I live in Connecticut, so it was a chance to get back close to home anyhow. in the off season. So I said, well, no questions about it. I'm packing up, and I talked to him on, I think it was a Tuesday night, and I drove from Louisville here the next day.
And the rest, as they say, is history. The team went on that year and ended up winning its first and up to this point only indoor football league title. I imagine winning a championship at any level, it has to kind of be a thrill, an amazing feeling for you of accomplishment.
Absolutely. Right? I mean, I look back on it now, and it was kind of funny that like everything slowed down the last couple of minutes of the game, and then we won the championship. And I don't think it really sunk in for me. It took me a couple of days to really appreciate the fact that we had just won the championship. It was kind of surreal to a certain extent, where it had happened, but I was not really celebrating what's coming next, and it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different for me in the whole experience, and obviously that's what we've been driving to get back to. Mm-hmm. We've been in the playoffs every year that I've been here with the team. So we expect to get that again. We've hit a little bump right here in the road where we lost a couple of games, but we've had a great week in practice so far. We're ready for a big game at home this weekend against San Antonio, and we're definitely looking to get back on track and get back into playoff mode for this coming season.
Awesome, and I know those of us heading to the Tsonga Center on Saturday are going to be rooting you on and hoping for the same thing. I'm curious about your other role besides being an associate head coach. So you were the head coach last year, and then this year they brought in a new coach, but that meant you actually expanded on your responsibilities, becoming an assistant director of football operations. Is that something you kind of had in mind along the way as well? Are you wanting to kind of take on that challenge of building a roster?
Yeah, we talked about it and with Jawad in the offseason, and I've done it before. Back in my AFL days, I was actually the head coach and GM of the Toronto Phantoms, which was the only AFL team that played outside the country. We were based in Toronto, Canada. And I was actually the head coach and the GM up there to get it started. It was my team that got moved from Hartford, Connecticut, got bought and sold and moved to Toronto. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of like the link that was between the existing team and then the whole new setup with new front office. The coaching staff we came with the team, but then new setup in dealing with Toronto and nuances, travel. And I'm kind of doing the same thing here. I'm involved in travel, hotel stays, involved in some of the stuff as we get new players transitioning in. Jawad's normally, his plate is very full, especially being that this is an expansion year for us. And so he's got an ongoing process as we continue the expansion process. And then we still have football operational part to handle too as well. So we talked about it, and I've kind of made that transition over to assistant with the front office liaison type thing, and then dealing a lot with travel and stuff like that, along with Brandon Parado, who is our operations point of view from the front office. So between myself, him, and Jawad, we're kind of triple teaming whatever needs to get done based on how fast it's coming up and what each of us has on our plate with the other part of our job, so to speak.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot of activity on that end. One thing I've noticed is pretty much every week you're either bringing in new players and others are leaving because they're moving on to some of the other leagues and opportunities that present themselves to them. Is that normal, or is this an unusual year in terms?
It's not. It's normal. It's normal for us. We attract a very high quality player here, probably a little bit more so than some of the other teams in our league. Obviously, with that comes the fact that teams like the new UFL, which was the XFL and the NFL and CFL, they're looking at quite a large number of our players, and at some point they're plucking those players away from us for one reason or another. So that forces us to transition within our own team. We're also blending an older team into getting a little bit younger in terms of what we're adding to the mix. So we're transitioning to a younger team to position us for the future too as well. So we've got a kind of like a two-pronged attack going on where we're looking to transition for the future, but we're looking to win here and now right away too as well. So I think we're close to where we have the mix that we want. We may have one or two more transactions to go, but not as many as we've been doing in the past. And we're kind of settling in with the group of guys that we have. Defensively, we're playing very well. we're and depending on how you look at it and what stats you're looking at, we're either number one or number two in the league. And offensively, we're going through a building process. Our starting quarterback's been hurt for a couple of games, so we're finally getting him back to full speed, almost there for this coming game. And then the offensive personnel package around him has stabilized. We unfortunately have had quite a few injuries to our receiving crew, and a big part of this game is the passing game. We are a top 5 rushing team, but our passing game has got to improve a little bit. And again, that's just continuity. Unfortunately, like I said, we've got like half of our receivers injured, and so we're starting to get them back. We got Isaac Zico back last week, and then he re-injured. He had a different injury. He had an injury to his right side leg, and now he's got an injury to his left side leg. So it's been one of those kind of years at the receiver position. But just about everybody's getting healthy. Our docs and our medical staff and our trainers have done a fantastic job to get these guys back in time for the playoff run. And that's what we're looking at now. We're not looking back at anything. We're looking at the 0-0 wins and losses, and it's what we do going forward. And we have to finish up the season with 3 wins. We have to win the last 2 games of the season. That's the goal and the focus as we go into this.
Yeah, and we can certainly appreciate that. I know coaches, even players, don't like to cite injuries, but I mean, you started the year 4-0, and then all of a sudden they started to hit you. And when they hit you at quarterback, the most important position, not only has Alejandro been in and out of the lineup, but even his backup has been in and out. So you're trying to kind of work a bunch of people into it. What else are you guys working on in terms of reversing things as you start to get healthy again and hopefully stay that way? What else do you kind of focus on this weekend against San Antonio and going forward to kind of get back on the side or the winning side and prepare for hopefully a nice long playoff run?
Yeah, we've it's a ever changing, ever evolving situation here with us and the team. Offensively, we've got to pick the pace up a little bit. Defensively, we're playing very well, so we want to maintain that defense, continue to grow the offense, and it's one thing to not know who's available to you from one game to the next offensively. So that's something that we've got to get over, and I think we're across that hurdle now. Like I say, we pretty much got most of the guys back, and that allows us then to put a game plan in, knowing the personnel that we have available to us for the week. Special teams, we've got to get a little bit more level. We've been kind of up and down. We've been great at moments, and we've been very poor in performance at some moments in the same game. So we really had a conversation this week, and we really talked about streamlining that process, not having the big highs and not having the tremendous lows. I think if we get that going and we get going, and then obviously that ninth man, those fans that come and get us all pumped up and really energize the arena for us on game weekends. I think if we can put all that into a pool, and hopefully that's going to happen Saturday night, and we'll come out with a great victory and have some fun doing it. And then get back to enjoying it. I mean, when you're losing some games, life is a little stressful. And then that can affect your play, that can affect your feel, that can affect the length of your week. So we've really concentrated with the players this week on eliminating that stress. And let's just go out and have fun and enjoy the moment and be in that moment on Saturday night.
All right. Well, we're certainly looking forward to it on our end as fans. And, Coach, best of luck to you, not just Saturday night, but the rest of the season going forward. And thanks for taking the time to join us here.
Okay, thank you very much for having us.
Our pleasure. That is associate head coach Mark Stoute from the Massachusetts Pirates joining us here for our Inside the Pirates podcast. I want to thank him for joining us. I want to thank you for joining us as well. Inside Lowell. If Lowell is your home, this is your place.